Lance Armstrong didn't go win Tour de France because, he was born for it. Well, he might have been, but it's not like he could do that, from day one. It's through the thousands of hours or hundreds of thousands of hours, perhaps, that he spent on the bicycle, not reading about the bicycle, not, theorizing, just
Mm,
getting on the bicycle and doing it.
great point.
So that's the thing with video. The more you do, the better you get. Well, let me ask you a question. What do you think
Sure.
is the biggest frustration that your listeners are facing when it comes to content creation? What's going on in their businesses, in their, well, even in their hobbies, or it can be like a charity or something. But when it comes to creating content, you must hear from them. What are their frustrations? What are their challenges? And I'd like to know that.
It's a great question, and I think it's really twofold. I think first and foremost, for whatever reason, video scares people. They're intimidated by the camera, about setting that up and starting to talk in front of it. And I've told many of them, look, if they'll listen to this fat guy with a beard, they'll listen to anybody. But that I think is just something. And you talked a little bit about coaching earlier, that I think a lot of business owners and business leaders really struggle with is how do they get beyond that fear of the camera? The other part of it is, I think, just a concern that they're not going to know what to say, that everything needs to be perfectly scripted to come out. And I find that that creates video that's not going to resonate with your audience as it should, because let's face it, most of us aren't trained to read well off a teleprompter or to memorize scripts well. And as a result, what we say comes off as very stilted and too planned and not authentic enough. So you didn't ask for two, but I do think it's two issues. One, that fear of the camera, and two, fear of knowing what to say, that they just aren't going to know what to say. When I find out in reality, they're great if they just allow that defense to drop a little bit
Hmm.
and tell their own story.
Yeah, cool. So why don't I just give a couple tips around that? That
That'd be
might help the
great.
audience. So, about fear of the camera, I think that there's two ways around it. The first one is just to make a whole bunch of video, and I'm going to bring up another analogy here, which is probably used a lot. It's like a bicycle. When you're a lot of people, business owners, when the first time they get in front of the camera, they feel uncomfortable, but then the real nail on the coffin is when they play back that video and there's like, no way is this going online, right? Or the other one I
Yep.
hear often is, does my voice really sound like that?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it does. But most people, when I say most, sorry, a lot of people, a lot of people do push through, but a lot of people will use that as a sign that, hey, I'm not cut out for video. I shouldn't do this. And that's just like, falling off the bicycle for the first time when you're a kid and say, yeah, it's not for me, I'm giving up.
Exactly.
And the obvious answer is do more of it. The more you do, the smoother it feels, the more enjoyable it becomes, the faster you go or the slower you go. You can start, doing complex things like, going uphill or,
Mm-hmm.
going off road or getting a road bike. And these are all things that you got to think about that don't start from day one. Lance Armstrong didn't go win Tour de France because, he was born for it. Well, he might have been, but it's not like he could do that, from day one. It's through the thousands of hours or hundreds of thousands of hours, perhaps, that he spent on the bicycle, not reading about the bicycle, not, theorizing, just
Mm,
getting on the bicycle and doing it.
great point.
So that's the thing with video. The more you do, the better you get. And as you go through that, you might want to pick up a coach along the way. And that's what like if you want to get to the professional leagues, all professionals have a coach, right? And you're going to be able to keep your balance by yourself. But there's going to be people who are going to be able to point out nuances like, hey, this is how you talk with your hands. Here's how you want to use your eyes to project. Here are the words you're going to use to have maximum impact with your audience. Here's the pace you want to use. And there's so many, inflections and things like that will enhance your delivery that should be focused on after you just learn to keep your balance. And for me, keeping balance just means being able to confidently and smoothly go through the delivery of your message without second guessing yourself every step of the way, which causes stuttering, which causes unconfidence and things like that. Now, what was the second question you asked there? I mean, second frustration
I think
you
the
pointed
second
out.
frustration is just around what content are they going to talk about, and
Yeah.
are they going to sound eloquent when they do so?
Mm. You know, the easiest format to get started. And if you're listening this far, thank you. It's almost an hour that we're into this. Uh, there is my go-to when I don't know what to talk about is I go to answerthepublic.com. And if you don't know
Hmm.
what that is, it's a free website. And you whatever your expertise is, let's say you're in the legal services business, specifically around corporate tax, right? And there's a lot of agencies like that. So what I would do is I would go there and just type, 2023 tax policy USA corporate. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to take those keywords and go to Google and find in real time for like the past 1 month, I believe, the most asked questions on Google and you could choose what geographic zone you're going to be targeting. So I would make sure I'm only looking for searches made in the US if your clients are in the US, and look for what are people actually Googling? What are the questions being asked with those keywords in it? Now, 80% of the stuff is going to be, probably not applicable to you. But as you look through this list of questions that people are typing, you're going to pick the ones that you can answer confidently, because the fact that it's being asked means that people are searching for the knowledge you already have. And all you got to do is answer the question. So maybe the question is, how to file for, uh, you know, tax returns in this situation. Just literally take that, make that the title of your video, and answer the question. That's
Hmm.
it. And the thing about the service is that it's not a static list. Depending on the time of year, depending on the geographic zone, depending on the industry you're in, it's going to change month by month because it's real time updating what are the most recent questions asked with these keywords in it. So I think that's a great place to start. And I could go on and on, but that's a good starting point. And if you are genuinely the expert in what you're doing, you'll be able to answer these questions. If you can't answer any questions, maybe you should reconsider some life choices, or just get knowledgeable on them and do some research and then answer it.
Great advice and another wonderful resource and answer the public. I agree with you. I think there's so many questions that we probably already know that our customers are asking, and it's just a matter of recording that on video as a way to get started. I'm yeah, huge value and 100% agreement with everything you shared. Ken, I just want to take a moment and thank you again. I know it's very early in the morning in Japan right now, and I'm so grateful that you responded to my message and agreed to be on the podcast. And I just want to take a moment and encourage everyone watching, check out Ken's podcast, The Capitalist or Content Capitalist. It is fantastic. Make sure to check out his GoBox Studio if you are looking at a great way to record video either in your office or while you're on the road and you want the ability to open up a case and have everything ready to go. It's a tremendous solution. And obviously, if you're looking for more help in creating great marketing videos for your company, reach out to Ken and find out about his programs. You'll be well worth it. So, Ken, thank you again. Have an amazing day, and I hope that in the not too distant future we actually have the opportunity to meet in person instead of just over video.